You're gonna be the moderator.
No. That's the truth, guys.
Out there, anybody? Thank you for asking.
I think we ought to give Dave a round of applause and redefine the term "break a leg."
Yeah, you didn't have that. What did he do?
Did it last night.
Yeah, he popped his knee out.
Who else got a question, guys? Yes.
What is it like working with Fred Astaire?
Oh, God. Right. Let's start with the man who played his. Because he's got a. I got three stories. Briefly, I'm going to give you an overview of what it was like working with Galactic with some of these classic
Don't talk about me.
No.
He wasn't.
Keep in mind, working with Mr. Astaire, working with Ray Bolger. All of you remember Ray Bland. Who's telling the story? Right? Ray Bolger. Now keep in mind now, you got someone that you're rehearsing with and who's on the call sheet with you, who is one of the more iconic characters in American film. In Ray Bolger's case, guys, if you don't remember the name, he was a scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz. You don't remember the name. All righty? So with him, Lloyd Bridges, Lorne Greene, and to work with the legendary Fred Astaire and be in a rehearsal situation with Fred Astaire. And I'm in awe of working with this living legend. And he leans over after rehearsal and he leans over and says, "So Herb, what do you think?" And I go, he's asking me my opinion about something. I was moved beyond measure. It's a great honor. Anyway, and?
I was just, again, in awe of him. And we were all so young and we were so lucky to work with John Colicos and Lorne and, Ray Bolger and Ann Jeffries and Ray Milland. And it was just, it was like really a great honor. It was a great honor. And he was charming and quiet and shy.
He really was.
Very
humble.
Very unassuming.
Very
That's
humble.
the one thing. He had nothing to prove to anyone. Here's a man who's been
quiet guy.
been there, done that. We all know someone like that, who's been there and done that and doesn't have anything to prove to anyone for the rest of their lives. We all know someone who has those attributes.
And he was, totally retired and had, no plans to do it. He worked for Glenn. Was it Takes a Thief? The show he did with Bob Wagner. He had worked for Glenn, and Glenn called him and asked him to do Galactica, this episode, and he said, "I'm retired, I really don't want to do it." But then Fred Astaire's grandchildren found out about it, and they said, "Grandpa, we'll never talk to you again." So that's why he did the episode, because his grandkids wanted to do it.
Whatever Harry Potter, Richard Harris took that role, I think, for his grandkids or something.
Oh, really?
Richard Harris's?
I love Richard Harris.
He was in the first couple of Harry Potter films. And I think his grandkids were fans of the books or
Oh, I didn't know
something.
that.
Yeah.
Who was? Richard Harris.
Oh, Harris. Oh, yeah. Okay. I dated Richard Harris's ex-wife.
Yeah, but we went off point, man.
Everything comes back to who Dirk dated. What subject you bring up, it all comes back to Dirk's ex.
Heather Menzies said to say about you.
Oh, Heather, yeah.
Uh-oh, did he date the monkey?
My first Hollywood movie was...
Yeah, I just told him about it.
Somebody was here with that.
saw that movie?
Somebody is here with that iconic poster from that movie. It's sought after. It's a woman's mouth screaming with a snake coming out.
You know I turned down the movie, right? You know. I didn't want to be in makeup for 6 hours. I don't know how, 12 hours, I don't know how you did that.
I never did a movie where they wouldn't put 12 hours of makeup on me.
What about the nude scene?
They used to use, when I dated, they use a trowel.
I'm going to
But
ask you.
Richard Harris's ex-wife. I didn't know she was Richard Harris. Anna Jeanette.
Aunt Turkel?
Aunt Jeanette Comer. What's her
Oh,
name?
Aunt Jeanette Comer. She used to be Alex Cord's girlfriend. Aunt
Well,
Jeanette Comer. So you're thinking
I think you're
Aunt
right. No,
Turkel.
Alex
Why not?
Cord. That's right.
I'm thinking Aunt Turkel. Aren't you thinking
Aunt
Aunt
Turkel.
Turkel?
And
Aunt Jeanette Comer
Walter
was
Koenig's
Alex's girlfriend.
Right.
What?
Right. Aunt Turkel.
Koenig's
But I'm
girlfriend.
so out of it, I don't know. So somebody fixes me up and says, oh.
Would somebody ask a question?
I did. It went on point.
What was it like being in a Viper?
Yeah, stand up.
What about it?
There
What
you
was
go.
it like?
Richard Harris. Who's her? What? And it freaked me out.
And.
Come on in. It freaked me out.
Last summer I saw.
Sorry about that guy about the Fred Astaire and what was
I saw a great movie. I think it's called Trolls.
Yes.
Played the older version of the mom, right? That was a great movie. I had not seen it in 30 years, and I never remembered it being that good when I saw it as a kid. But I saw it again on Netflix. It was actually a far better film than I remembered. It was very elaborate, very pop oriented. I don't know if I'd bring that up, but maybe you could elaborate on your experiences with that movie. Yeah.
I had a wonderful time doing that movie. We shot it in Rome, Italy. And I was there for a month and I worked 6 days.
Wow.
I met the Pope, I went to Florence, I went to Venice, I saw it was just fabulous. I took my best girlfriend with me.
That's actually, like I said, a far better film than I remembered seeing as a kid, and it looked better. And it's got a great legacy being a prequel to a movie that's not a sequel.
It was made for like $1.98.
Right.
We had a We had a wonderful cast. My mom and I had a great time being there. Sonny Bono was in it. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Michael Moriarty, Shirley Mack. But
Brad Hall, anyone who remembers Saturday Night Live in the 80s for a couple of years. Brad Hall was in it.
That's right. And I don't know if you remember, but Noah Hathaway was in it as well.
Oh, really? He's the kid in that movie?
He's the
little
kid.
boy. I think the kid is Harry Potter, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
His name is Harry Potter, and his father, which was Michael Moriarty's role, was Harry Potter Sr.
That's right.
And it was the first Harry Potter movie. Before, what's her name, ever wrote a Harry Potter book.
She watched Trolls.
Yep.
Was that the first, or which came first, Troll or Battlestar?
Battlestar.
Battlestar, yeah.
So when you were working on Troll, that was your second time working with Noah.
Oh yeah, I already knew Noah. Yeah, Noah was a bigger, he wasn't a little baby anymore. Troll was 1985 or something.
By the way, anybody see the movie Sushi?
Is that you, Lucas?
Okay. Because Noah Hathaway stars in that. Huh? Sushi Girl, that's it. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Did you like it? Okay. Yes.
Something I found interesting yesterday from talking to Ann is, Battlestar Galactica was such a large production, and the sci-fi community is so much into the show. I always wondered what happened to some of the original props or the set, and something Ann mentioned yesterday was when she was on Buck Rogers, that it was the set repainted. And I see that's interesting to kind of know where all that went, and I know they had the Universal Adventures ride for Battlestar Galactica, and all those props. I mean, I'm sure a lot of the stories, but I'm sure some of the stuff is still out there.
That's not. They painted it all pink and blue, used it for Buck Rogers, or put it on the tour.
Although,
And most of the other stuff has been recycled in some way at a studio.
Yeah.
right,
Just cut it in half and paint it with music or something else.
One of the interesting things with the new version of Battlestar Galactica, I like that they had an original Viper and all Viper there. It kind of brought it into
Right.
the show, you know, kind of showing the past, the present, kind of thing, how even outdated equipment still was more advanced than what they had then.
Another question, guys?
I've got a statement and a question. First, I just wanted to say that Galactica is on Netflix right now.
Oh,
I've rewatched all of them. And I think they really hold up today, not just necessarily science fiction, but they're dramatic. And something we don't have a lot of on television today is
It's
adventure.
stories.
You know, back in the 60s and 70s, you guys had adventure television shows. And I think it's a great adventure show. But what I wanted to ask is, do any of you guys watch any of the old episodes, and what do you think of them now that you watch it? Or do you? Do you even dare go and watch them?
You know, a lot of actors really don't watch a lot of their episodes. They don't really like watching themselves. I'm waiting a few more years, and I lose a few more brain cells, and I don't give a crap anymore. And then I'm going to go watch all of it from beginning to end. I don't think I have seen all the episodes from beginning to end. Really. I got to tell you, it's the weirdest thing. I don't care who you are. When you see yourself the way other people see you, because we all know when we look in the mirror, we know exactly how to look at ourselves in the mirror to see what we like. The trouble is, if you turn a little left or right, then you see the nose and this and that, whatever, right? Well, when you film, you see yourself three-dimensionally, and I gotta tell you, it takes a while to get over all that crap. It's like, no, I cannot be that ugly. You know, it takes a while to like yourself. So we're still working on it, though.
I look at it more nostalgically, like I didn't have wrinkles back then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Richard, you seem to have a really good history of what all happened with behind the scenes and the story of the show, going from the original series, which of course I own that and 80 at the house. What happened between the original series and 80? Could it have gone a different direction that would have been maybe a little bit better?
I mean, so the funny thing, and I'm sure some of the other actors can attest to this, in the second year, if it got picked up for a second year, they were going to change all kinds of things. And I don't know if you guys read some of the outlines and script outlines. They were going to literally change our characters. They were going to make you more a serious, committed type.
Good luck!
and then they were going to make me a guy that didn't want to lead anymore, didn't want to be part of all that stuff, which I don't know why they were going to do that.
And they were going to kill me.
Were they really?
Yeah. They were going to kill me.
Oh, they killed Jason.
And then they were getting, I think they're getting rid of a few people, like Terry Carter. I think they were going to take Terry Carter off the show. I don't know what the decisions were, but the problem is most people have probably found out by now, is that the show was in the top 10 for the first several episodes, then it dropped into the top 20, and it stayed in the top 20 really by the end. The trouble is ABC had 7 out of the top 10 shows, and they couldn't justify a show that cost that much money. And believe it or not, most shows take 7 days to film. Ours took 10 to 12 days. People got rich in overtime. I mean, literally, we filmed for almost 18 months between the movie and 24 episodes. But ABC really didn't even want it as a series. They wanted a mini-series. It got turned into a series at the last minute. Scripts hadn't been written. They hadn't worked out the story arcs. And the logistics of mounting that show were so challenging that it took that much time and cost that much money. Had they brought it back for a second year after they built all the sets, had the CGI department set up, had everything working, would have cost them a lot less money. But they didn't want to do it. And then they put Mork and Mindy in on Sunday nights to replace us. Mork and Mindy didn't do as well as we did. And they all of a sudden decided to bring back Battlestar, but they decided to bring it to Earth, cut the budget in half.
And also, all of our contracts had lapsed by then.
Yeah.
Once they canceled us, they couldn't get us back. Because all of our, except for a couple of.
And I was dating Ann Trickel.
Yeah.
Wait, so was I.
What happened to the monkey?
Were you offered that? Were you offered that role?
I got a question.
Yeah.
Would you guys be willing to do an animated series of it?
I think an animated series is a great idea. I do.
I think with the 3D effect would really kick it through.
I've heard talk of that. Yeah.
So did we, like, what,
So,
3
yeah.
years ago?
Oh, really?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Who was talking about it?
There was. No, yeah, me right now. No, actually, it came up at one of the cons. Your name came up when we were doing some banter to one of the producers on stage, and that was really took off. I mean, chatter-wise, I said all the cast is pretty much still here. We might as well get them.
You know the trouble is, Universal is so compartmentalized. One department doesn't know what the other department's doing. It's very hard for them to sign off on anything. Everything takes forever. We were working. I was working with several companies to do a electronic game of Battlestar, and we were trying to get DVDs with wraparound interviews, remaster it, new special effects, do all this stuff. They were going back and forth to make this deal happen. Always at the last minute, they go, "Oh well, thank you very much," and then they slapped it on a DVD with a mono track.
Yeah.
Same thing went with the game. They finally gave it to a little company that ported games. They didn't make original games, but they ported games, and they let them make the game. We had one of the top game companies wanted to do that. So every step of the way, I'd gotten involved with so many companies, but every step, Universal just kind of blew it. We even had a Sony's PlayStation 2 was going to make Battlestar its premier title. And I went to talk to all the people up in Silicon Valley, came down to Universal, went back and forth. They couldn't make up their mind to make this game that Sony wanted to make its premier title. It would have got all that promotion, right?
Right.
And by the time they could decide what they wanted to do, the window had closed because it takes 12 to 18 months to do a game. And they were only, I think it was 18 months away, so they had to go into production right away. So every step of the way, I got so frustrated dealing with Universal. I just realized they didn't even, when I first went to them, they didn't even know Universal owned Battlestar Galactica. They had no idea. So it was to me, I just wish that some companies, somebody that knew what they were doing, that really got the show, would buy it and really do a good job bringing it back. Because I still think Battlestar has never really gotten a chance to do what it's capable of doing. I still think there's a lot of great stories to be told.
Right.
So I'm hoping this new group at Universal that is going to relaunch the franchise, and this is Academy Award winners, some of the top people in the business. They're going to start with a movie, and it's based on the original once again.
Right.
Yes.
But I don't know what they're doing or how they're doing. I really don't know. But they brought in a lot of really top-notch people to write the script.
You know who?
I can't talk about names. You can go online and find that out.
Yeah, I've been doing some digging.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The producer has won a couple of Academy. Yeah. Another question, guys?
Did any of you actually go through the ride when it was on Universal?
No.
Just curious.
Dirk, did you go when you did 18?
Did you take AM?
Huh?
She took me on a ride, but
I actually thought it was very fun, very entertaining. I actually did go. I was.
To get out in that ride, though, to be the real Apollo or the real star.
Of
Costume,
course,
you
when
know.
the row in front of you turn around and go.
I know.
I still like the scene from 18 when
well, you know,
you
when
had
I
the
was
Cylon
doing,
walk
when I was,
by and you did a double.
yeah, I was doing the 18 and we filmed on location. But one day we were at Universal, and it was during a lunch break, and the Cylon was walking on his lunch break. I ran over to him. I said, "Hey," because we're getting ready. I said, "Would you?" He said, "Yeah." So I went to the director, Tony Mordente, and I go, he said, "Well, no, my goddamn, we don't have time." I said, "No, Tony, at the top of the scene, he's just gonna. It's for all the editors for the A-Team were Battlestar fans, you know, which drove Stephen Cannell crazy because he and Glenn had a pissing contest over who was the most." But so they did. So I said, "Just walk by." So he did walk by, and I, "Don't I know you?" gesture. And they all laughed, and then they put it in the credits. That's how that happened, yeah. From the tour. He was the guy that was on the tour. That was fun.
Yes.
I was kind of curious how you came into Battlestar and what you did before and kind of what you did after the series as well.
I came in when they restructured the show to bring the Pegasus in, which was to create conflict within the fleet to give the show another dimension. It was one of the rare times in my life I did not audition. I knew Glenn. Glenn knew that BoJay was a very strong alpha character, and as he told me, we have a lot of alphas on the set. I need somebody I know can work really well with people. And Richard and I actually go back to 1970 together, and Richard and I had a very, very good working relationship. We did well through the early days, the first 3 years of all my children. So, you know, and it was, what was really remarkable about it was that BoJay, in the first script I got of The Living Legend, BoJay gets killed in the raid on Gamorrean. And then halfway through, as we were finishing part 1, I got a call to go up to Glenn's office, which immediately meant I was fired. I was terrified when you get called up. And Glenn came to me and said, I want to keep you on the show, and I have no idea how to do it. Because they had brought Ann on, and they wanted to do a lot more with the girls. And I had to laugh because, you know, it never rains but it pours. You know, you go through most of your career as an actor hoping you're going to get another job. I mean, every time I finished a job, I was sure I'd never work again. And this was a time in my life that I was just working all the time, and I had to turn to Glenn. I go, that's great, but I'm not available for the next 6 weeks. I was scheduled to go on and do a 2-hour police story, and after that, a half-hour sitcom. And Glenn looked back at me and says, oh, thank God you just solved my problem. Right? He says, I'll write you into a scene here and a scene there, and when we get to the second year, we'll get you under contract and we'll develop BoJay fully, and we never got there. But BoJay was always confrontational with Apollo. Actually, when we were doing the second coming, we wrote a backstory for BoJay, and BoJay and actually Starbuck were very, very close friends, almost a Top Gun thing, and that BoJay had won the Top Gun from Apollo back in space camp. And he was always hostile to me. But no, I mean, it was just, one of those things. My agent called me up and said, I have a job offer you. Really? Yeah, and then you kind of walked into Bedlam, on the set. But I would say only, this cast, which I was around less than they were around each other, there was a camaraderie amongst all the actors on that show that we actually, remained friends for 40 years now. Basically because Dirk dated all our ex-wives. But no, I mean, that was it for me. In all honesty, it was a job that you were, every time somebody said you're hired.
I don't remember you being on the show.
Oh, yeah. You told me I was very good then.
I probably did.
And I just gotten divorced, and you asked me what my ex-wife was doing.
No, I never. I can't give that.
I didn't want to date your wife.
Did we have a scene together? We didn't have. I don't think we had a scene together.
Yeah, we did the first scene. We walking down the corridor, and then that scene that when you guys are running from the sun, we're out there fighting every day. And you and I agreed, and he.
Stand up. Can you stand up in your chair? Let your daddy hold you up there.
That's,
so everybody
This is a question, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't stand up.
Favorite part of Battlestar Galactica?
What was our favorite part of it? The paycheck.
Yeah.
What?
Part of the movie of Battlestar Galactica.
What was your favorite part of Battlestar Galactica?
Okay.
The girls. No, it was fun. I liked it all. I liked it all.
Lucas, we had a good time. Think about being around a bunch of brand new friends, okay? A bunch of brand new friends, and all of a sudden you realize you get along with everybody, you like the same games, and everyone plays by the rules. Everyone is doing something that's a lot of fun, a lot of hard work, but a lot of fun, and you're getting paid for it.
Do you like to play pretend? Okay, we got paid to play pretend.
By the way, my son on the show, just about your age, and I love being a dad. That was great. Yeah. If we were going to film it today, I'd cast you.
So, you talked about the scope of the show is huge. Was there pressure? I mean, you had to know while you were filming that this is a big deal. Did you feel stress in acting in? Did you feel it coming in? Since you came in the show after it had already been going for a while, and it had a reputation. Or did you start filming before it ever aired?
Oh, no, it was already on the air. We were always late. We were always late, you know, we were always behind and trying to, you know, the scripts weren't written, stuff was, we were always trying to, I mean, they would send us rewrites, they would send us pages the day after we shot it. I'm serious, I'm not kidding. There's one scene in the pilot's lounge where we're all sitting around talking about how to, you know, go bomb the Cylons or something. And they gave us the pages that day. And it's literally, I had mine in my lap, you had yours glued to a post that was next to you, and there was, the scenes were like, well, I think we should, I think we can do this, and I would go, I think we could do, I mean, we're all in there, like, reading it off of, like, you know, taped to tables, and it's just ridiculous, it was crazy.
Do you remember the donut debacle?
Oh, about, yeah.
Yeah, all right, I'll give of the, you know,
How silly
way
it got.
way over budget. Universal's answer was to make the actors pay
for the
honey wagon.
It was like a little
craft
cart
services
with
you
donuts
know,
and coffee on it.
And so it was like a $1 a donut or something like that. And we walked in and we saw this, and I remember all I could remember was Lauren Green and Lloyd Bridges and their Galactica outfits walking across from stage 28, the parking lot to the Black Tower. And we're all like a bunch of kids peeking around the corner.
That's the
like this.
executive
Watch,
office.
I mean, this is March, right? And into the Black Tower they went. And
They never charged us for donuts.
they came back out, watched back. As they walked by, Lauren Green took the $1 a donut sign off. Now we go back to work. It's universal. But watching those, but I would say, cause we talked earlier about working with these classic people. I think the industry was a great deal different in those days. Instant stardom and instant millionairism did not exist the way it does today for the pop stars and these young kids who are just, you know, throwing gazillions of dollars right at the back. You know, we followed a generation that was taught their craft very carefully and appreciated their craft. And we came from that same philosophy where we were all taught our craft and respected each other as actors. I could, you know, I had done shows in the latter part of my career where I'd be a guest and the two young 24-year-old stars come in, they haven't even bothered to look at the script and they're taking 28 takes to get 4 lines of dialogue. Right. I would no more have walked into a scene with Lauren Green and Lloyd Bridges without knowing my lines. It would have never occurred to me. It would just never occur to me. So, you know, I think that, you know, that type of actor, you know, paid forward to us, and I would like to think we could pay forward to a younger generation. But it's changed. It's all different now. But you know, working with these guys, they set the example, and you followed it. Yeah, thank you.
About anonymity. You all look so great, and you still look so much like your characters at the time. Did you ever, just for a kick, go out in a Battlestar Galactica t-shirt?
Pharmaceuticals is the answer.
Self-medicating as much as possible.
Absolutely. It's one of the side effects of Lotrimin, you know, that doesn't kill you or something.
Lotrimin, that's like for athletes.
Lots of
but-
beer.
you will die, you will lose your hair, you will lose everything. But I just had a wart.
I have a question. In genre shows like, say, Walking Dead, where you have two separate groups of people, you know, good guys, bad guys, whatever, in that show it's humans and zombies. Well, on Battlestar Galactica, you have humans and Cylons. On Walking Dead, they always talk about how there's like two separate camps, and all the actors who play humans, sort of like when the cameras aren't rolling, they eat their lunch here and they interact, but they can't like interact with the zombies. Did you guys like have that same kind of a division with the Cylons and the actors who play them?
No, not really. And my experience was this: most of the Cylons we had were stuntmen that many of us had worked with before in other productions. So we knew the people underneath those helmets and in that armor. So when the time came to take a break or something, we'd have a lot to discuss.
So the cast was more cohesive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they were, very much so. I mean, to the point where we could play, I knew them so well that I could play practical jokes on them. I don't know whether you know this story, but maybe you heard it. Those of you who have the box set and saw the making of Galactica might remember this story, but it really happened in my case. The Cylons could only see. He knows what's coming. Cylons could only see about 3 feet in front of them, and they had to carry their carbines up at the chest, and they'd have to kind of move along. And so anything out here, they were blind. We always had to keep the area in front of them clear. But we have the scanner that's facing forward. They can only see down here. See, when you know someone and you work with them and you know them well, you can play practical jokes. The things you would never do to a stranger that could get your butt kicked. You do to your friend, right? So these guys are walking along with their carbines, and they would just take a chair, stand on back end, stick your foot up. You trip one of them.
Dominoes.
And they know who did it. This is a rehearsal. Never when the camera was rolling. During a rehearsal. Because time is money in our industry. Okay? Doing a rehearsal. And they're lying on the floor. And they're like turtles. Packs and they can't get up. And you hear underneath all of the helmets with the scanners going back and forth, all of these cuss words. You rotten blankety blank, all muffled, coming from the side. You only do that to people you know. It's my experience.
The other thing is, as far as hanging out with those guys on break time.
They die, we're dying.
Well, the problem is when we have a break, like if they had to change the wart, they had rebuilt the whole costume because originally it was like the Cylon costume was like on suspenders, and like if the Cylon had to pee, it took 45 minutes because he didn't have a fly, for a better way of putting it. He had to take off these suspenders and take the whole thing off, and he had to have somebody help him get back in it. So we had long breaks without Cylons to chat with because they were off dealing with wardrobe issues.
Were you guys ever like surprised that you still have this fan base, that the show still has this following?
I never would have thought 40 years, coming up on 40 years ago, that a series that I worked on for one season that has like a total of 30 hours. A lot of you don't realize that, but there's less than 30 hours total on the entire original Battlestar Galactica. And for me to think that you guys remember us, we must have done something right back in those days, I guess, because it never dawned on me that I'd be sitting here discussing these things with you after all this time. So you guys do me thanks for tuning in. And I mean that to each and every one of you, because I never would have thought I'd be sitting here answering these questions.
Mr. Hat, I just want to tell you something. you were always one of my favorite characters, and you will always be the only Battlestar Galactica that ever counted.
Thanks.
So kind of you.
Yes.
I'd like to add something to what Herb was saying, because I think many of us who are older now, and this industry has changed so much that today's megastar, thinks, they are on a pedestal and they do you such a favor to allow you to maybe ask them for an autograph or something. The truth of the matter is, it's the other way around. We as actors, our passion in life and our job was to provide you with entertainment. It has no more value than a financial advisor gives you a retirement income, or an insurance salesman sells you an insurance policy. What makes it so special that you would still remember us, I'm always amazed when somebody comes up and says, "Oh, thank you for letting me, I go, why are you thanking me?" It's thank you. Without you, none of us would be up here. So, as an old beat-up actor, back to you guys, we would be nothing without the fans. And the fact that you still remember us, I can't tell you what that means to me. It's just, maybe we did something good, and
Who are you again?
I can't.
I'm feeling bad.
Jack wants to pay you if you ask him for
I'm starting to get emotional.
Well, I must admit, I do get emotional. I feel very strongly about paying back, and you guys know this. I left Hollywood and went back to my roots of theater, and then I went into directing theater, and my thing is to inspire anybody who wants to express themselves in a creative way. There is no wrong way to do this. We live in a very negative world these days, where the norm is to beat you down and to, to deride you and to make you feel worthless. And we should all be pulling each other up and championing each other. So, anything I can pay back that says there's nothing you can do, that is wrong in the creative arts. And if you've got a passion to do it, you must find time to do that. Because again, it will save your soul. And it's why I went back to theater and directing theater. I get such a kick out of watching people who have a day job, right, and get up on that stage at night and watch them transform. And and I have to tell you, when the curtain goes up, there's a big part of me that wishes I was still up there with them. But that's the other half of it. So anyway, whatever.
Yeah. History of my life, Battlestar Galactica has kind of been a guide or something to take my mind off of it. When I grew up on foster parents would only let us watch Battlestar Galactica for the story. It wasn't just all about them to shoot them up. It wasn't about sexual activity. About a storyline and almost like a Wild West. It had. And two of my favorite episodes was one where you explained to Bossy about the Cylons, and the other one was whenever Starbuck was on the planet with the child and the Cylon that he rebuilt. The second time in my life was when I was recovering in the hospital in Fort Carson, Colorado, from my injuries during the war. My son and my wife came up, and one thing, they were from Oklahoma, and I was in Carson, and I told them, I said, bring my Battlestar Galactica DVD son to watch. So me and my son would stay in bed and watch the series. Well, I noticed that we were two veterans to a hospital room, and the other veteran was, what are you watching? I hear it. And I was like, Battlestar Galactica. He said, oh man, I haven't seen it in years. Well, eventually it spread down the hallway, so I had guys borrow my set all the time. And y'all may have just been 30 hours, but for 30 hours that you guys took your mind off the pain or the suffering or the lost limb, something like that. It took them back to a day whenever they were whole or they had something to express. So I just want to tell you guys thank you for being there, even though you guys didn't know you guys were. You've been there for a lot of people that needed you.
Well, and right.
Let me thank you for your
thank you. You made your mission in life to look out for our sorry old asses, and that is far more than making any television show will ever be. And don't you ever forget that. We are indebted to you, and I thank you for your service has become commonplace, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Thank you.
Yes. You mentioned John Califace before. Do you have any funny stories about him? Because he always seemed like he was
The first time I met John Colicos, I think it was my second day on the show. And I'd watched the show, and I loved the character. I just loved the way he said these lines. And he was always up on the top of this mound, you know, on the stage, and he had to come down this long ladder. And I wanted to meet him. And I knew his reputation. He was the foremost Shakespearean actor in Canada, the youngest man in Equity Canada to do Lear. So he comes down from the thing and he walked up to me, and then I said, "Hi, I'm Jack Stoffer. I'm playing Boja." And he said, "Oh, very nice to meet you." And I said, "I just want to tell you that I'm in awe of you as an actor, and I respect you as an actor, and I just think, you know, we never tell each other these things, and I think you're wonderful." And he put both hands on my shoulder and said, "Oh, dear boy, thank you so much." He says, "No, but, you know, after doing this shit, King Lear will be easy." Yeah.
Where did we, do you remember he came to a convention?
Yeah.
And you guys
Philadelphia, you dumped a bottle of red wine on him.
I was just
White suit. White suit.
Red ascot. And you just colored it up.
He was so, he would sit at the bar and talk for hours with anyone. So eloquent, so many stories. And I, honestly, during the time we filmed, I never got to know him. And so here was my chance.
Yes.
So I got up and I got so nervous talking to him that I spilt my wine all over his nice white suit. But what was the best part of that was he was totally cool.
And he was like, "Oh,
He had no
order
problem.
another one, dear
Exactly.
boy."
Such an amazing man.
Lovely man.
Another question, guys?
Did you ever, did he ever do conventions, you know? And did you
Oh, he did the one in
Only
Philadelphia?
this one.
Okay.
And then he died shortly.
And then, and then he passed
Oh,
away.
right.
It's the only one he ever did.
Was he really good with the fans?
Yeah, I mean, they loved him. They were happy to see him. And it was small. It wasn't that big. It was a small show.
Like this one?
But he was another example of a true professional that, you know, you wouldn't be in his presence and not know what you're going to set an example for you.
What?
Canada, Canada released the 50th anniversary series of stamps and coins, legal tender, that's phenomenal for the 50th anniversary of Star Trek.
Yeah.
He was Canadian.
Yeah.
And so Shatner, and so is Jimmy Doohan. And it's wonderful. He's got a stamp, so he's immortalized.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have the stamp.
I do?
Yeah, it's, you know, Green Store, you know, Walmart redemptions. 2 for 1 on cereal.
What are you laughing moving right along, yeah.
Just a quick question before time's up. Are there any preliminary plans you know of for any big 40th anniversary conventions or anything like that? Have you heard any rumblings?
Tell them about the cruise.
Well, there was.
Well,
Oh, yeah, the cruise.
you're the one that told me about it.
Well, it's not an anniversary, but it's a cruise with Dirk Benedict and myself in November to the Caribbean, 4-day cruise from Florida. You can find that out by going, go over to my website. Anybody on Facebook here? Yeah, go over to my Facebook. Is it on yours as well?
No, I don't have Facebook, but I have a website.
Okay, yeah.
Although they named Facebook, you know, after.
Thank God I didn't do more shows. I'd have.
By the way, anybody go to the last Battlestar Galactica convention up in Seattle? Anybody go? Well, as you know, there was a lot of problems with that convention, right?
It was so great.
And the people that put that together are no longer doing conventions. So I think there were some people that I know that have taken it over, and I think they want to put together a 40th. So, and they really know what they're doing. So if they do put together the 40th, it will be nothing like the last one. That's all I want to say. But you should be hearing about it in the next year or so.
You'll have it on your page, right? When you.
Yeah, that would definitely.
2 years.
Yeah.
Right after the cruise.
It's a little bit late, but
Yeah, but I'm sure they're gonna plan something.
It takes 2 years to plan.
Yeah.
The problem is,
Yes, sir.
Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland, let's do a convention.
With the advent of many shows that are out today, like Ancient Aliens and other shows that deal with extraterrestrials, did you ever get the mythos that somewhere in Battlestar Galactica, somewhere in the dark subconscious mind, they were actually trying to tell everyone that it was other human beings in the galaxy resealing, repopulating the universe, or did that ever occur?
I think Glenn kind of, was exploring some of those things, without going too heavy into it. I think he definitely was. Originally he had written a script called Adam's Rib, which was from a ship flying out to the stars instead of coming from someplace out in another galaxy with human beings. And then he switched it around at the last minute. And the big thing was, a lot of people used to think that Battlestar Galactica was a rip-off of Star Wars. But really, the trouble was, he tried to pitch that story. They weren't interested in sci-fi on television. And then after the success of Star Wars, right, they wanted to do something. So immediately they were open and interested, and they wanted something that would be close, look like, like Star Wars. So, but Glenn, I think, developed a very different story. It was definitely nothing, the only thing was they did have a lawsuit, because somehow, I didn't realize this, but George Lucas owns space. And you can't have laser pistols that fire, and you couldn't do all these things. And eventually they settled the lawsuit. And our lasers, as you know, didn't have a beam. You would get a little ignition at the end, and then you'd see the explosion. I don't know how that got resolved, because now there's a million people with lasers and doing all that stuff. But it's just interesting how lawsuits, the trouble with a lawsuit is, just like it's going on, I don't know if you know about the XNR lawsuit. Anybody watch XNR here?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm in this new indie Trek film called XNR, which is on the level of a studio film. And if you haven't seen it, you need to go and see the 20-minute prelude. But CBS, Paramount, is suing. And they haven't even made the film yet. So, but apparently,